Here we are, and welcome to the Friday Night Movie Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about the Book of Life as we enter I'm not really prepared to host. Sorry, Shai. I don't know how you do this every week. Here we are, and welcome to the Friday Night Movie Podcast. Shai, Lily, how are you doing today?
Who starts in order?
Shai, how are you? I mean, typically Lily and I just jump in with whoever has a story. You're not used to being on this side of things, Shai. I get it.
You know what? I just want to say, I subscribed to a lot of emails. Every time I buy something, put me on the list. Partially because I secretly think if I don't sign up to their thing, they won't send me the thing that I want. Right. So, or if I'm getting like tickets for a show, I'm getting tickets for a show that I won't get the access that I really want. But now I get these political ads and things, and they're written in this really manipulative way about you won't guess what Kamala Harris told me. I don't want your political ad. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in the local gardener. I know it's civil society and it's important on one level, but I'm not interested in those emails. I know it's like super hypocritical because I get every Banana Republic but
those could have sales in them, so it's different. Those might have a discount code.
And
when I miss a good discount code, how upset I am.
And I consider myself politically well-read. So I'm going out and seeking out the information. It's just the unsolicited emails. I like signing up for emails. It's when I start getting an email for something where I know someone gave it to somebody else. And then on top of that, the way the subject line is written,
it's very well. It's like
what
clickbait.
Does it say about?
I'm gonna have to quit. I like that less when they send me the mail enhancement. Your student loan is about to expire email.
See, it reminds me of
I only get shoe sale emails, and you buy
a lot of shoes.
Mail enhancement and political stuff. So I feel like
targeted ads work, man.
I worry a little bit about my worldly aspirations here.
I did want to say that I offered to host today. I actually forced Shai and Lily to let me host today because Shai does so much for the pod. He does so much for me and Lily to take care of us and lift us up that I wanted to relieve some of his burdens and host instead and let him sit back and relax. But I'm realizing it's like one of those times where you're making someone's life harder because you're trying to do them a favor. So I apologize, Shai, for trying to help. But
that's maybe the nicest thing you could have done or said. I really appreciate that.
Except for the fact that Shai is often like, girls, by helping you give me so much more work, just let me do it.
No, but we do give so much work. So, but right now we're between the days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which is a really important time for us, kind of take stock of things, which is what we'll be doing in this episode. We'll be discussing that. And one of the things I'm trying to take stock of is, how at 36 years old, I might need to stop always acting like the youngest and grow up a bit and help a bit more. But the good thing about Yom Kippur, which we'll get into in this episode, is that you don't really have to keep any of these promises. You kind of know that you're going to break your promises. So
that's not how it's supposed to work.
So it's the loophole.
But that's not the top lesson of Yom Kippur.
Everyone has their own takeaway. So can we just get right into it, or is there anything else?
Well, I think just context wise, every year for the last couple of years, we do a Book of Life episode. And in the spirit of the fact that over this 10 days, there's this concept in our community that the book of life will be sealed in the next 10 days. And in a sense, whether it's your actual physical fate or your spiritual fate or your path to the next year is set by the end of this week, by the end of Yom Kippur. And then we take this deeply meaningful thing and we apply it inappropriately to some kind of subject of pop culture and make light of a really important life and death part of our culture. So that's, I would say, is my context for this episode that we're going to talk about.
And so in particular, for this year's Book of Life, we're going to talk about the characters that should have lived from, movies, TV shows, pop culture. And, in brackets, you can also add who should have traded places with them. Like, who would, if it was up to you, who wouldn't have made it into the Book of Life, in their place. Sorry. Anyways, is that a good explanation?
Yeah, I think so.
So what I was going to say is while we decided that was going to be the topic for this week, and we each did our own prep, and we really did fill out these notes quite well, we didn't really discuss further what that meant. So it seems that Shai, Lily, and I all came into this with a slightly different interpretation.
Which is also makes it fun.
Which is what will make it fun. So you'll see each of our approaches as we get into it. So Shai, you know what? I actually feel like I do need to hand it over to you because you wrote the outline and I'm not entirely sure how you wanted this to run.
The best.
So
this is my favorite. This is I'm so glad I predicted this before you started.
This is totally fine.
Are you guys having a secret podcast text chain?
No, I'm too tired.
No, I literally a minute ago I said we often help, but it gets to a point where it's
cool. I'm trying to help, but then I'm not really sure if
I think you're doing a great job.
This is why I'm going to take a whole course of facilitation to learn how to do this.
The three of us were also up very late last night. We kind of partied
way past our bedtime.
It was super fun.
I didn't even make it to the end. I didn't make it to the end.
I promised my sisters they would witness me partying, and we did. And then I facilitated 3 hours of my mother's reunion of her 50-year gap year in Israel, which was a lot of fun with her crew. There's like 60 people. So we're just a little tired today. But okay, so we're going to go in 3 rounds. Each of us is going to present a fictional person who we think should not have made it into the Book of Life of their universe, and then propose another character who should have died. Again, this is wildly inappropriate, but also somewhat amusing.
It's
and
fictional
we welcome people's
fiction.
Feedback. And we're going to have controversial takes because that's what also makes it fun. And I'll also say that in a lot of cases, in my case, I'll say there are 2 stipulations for my rules. Or actually, when you go first, say your stipulations for your rules. And Lily, you're up first. So what were the rules you applied to this situation?
Well, I followed Becky's lead, and I was only gonna look at, like Yom Kippur does, this last year of your life, not your entire oeuvre of your life. So I started off that way, and then I kind of switched because there aren't enough people that died on shows that I watched. So I broadened.
I'm amazed how many shows you watched or movies you watched had integral people that you wished hadn't died.
Oh my God. I'm disappointed in myself because I really do feel like I could do better with this topic. Like I am the one that's often like, no. Yeah, I have a really hard time
when I researched
the movie to let people go.
When I researched the topic of, shows from this year and characters that have died, and I was just, doing this for readings, I was like, I've seen 2 out of 25 of these shows that are on different lists. And so I don't know, guys. I'm not sure I should be hosting this podcast.
This year was like a really big blur to me with the new baby and stuff. So it's hard for me to fully lock down what I've seen throughout the whole year. So I would just say these are some things that came out. Anyways, just go with.
And what was your criteria for who you switched out?
Oh, it had to be somebody just deplorable. Like somebody that didn't deserve, like if I had, I'm not saying that for the story, it would have made a better story that they croak. That's not what
agree.
I'm saying.
It wasn't, it wasn't based on.
For a lot of these stories, it had to go the way it went.
Right.
Fine.
It had nothing to do with making it a better
This
story.
is purely if these were my friends who I would trade out. Like, this is, you know what I mean?
Lily's first one is,
this is purely fictional in the sense that I'm treating these people as if they're not real, because it'd be terrible to imagine somebody dying, but also real in the sense that this is no way in shape connected to the story that these guys related to. Because obviously the show was meant to be the way it was meant to be. In my case, I understand Shai feels very differently about one of his picks. So if anybody's watched The White Lotus, I definitely...
Oh, there's spoilers and everything here, people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we're just talking about characters that die, so...
Right, that's like the ultimate spoiler. I just feel like Olivia was a gajillion times more deplorable and like horrendous in that show than Armand. While Armand does poo in someone's suitcase, I fully admire him for that act. And I do feel like he was really close to rock bottom and turning his life around. So, whereas Olivia seems like she's just going to become like
much worse.
Yeah, like the worst member of our society.
Feels like the events of this trip empowered her more.
Exactly. Just made her
to justify her behavior.
Yeah.
Her very toxic behavior. So yeah, she's the worst. And Armand, I feel like could have turned it around.
That's a fair case, but honestly, I think Armand was a
doomed,
terrible person. Doomed, yeah. Becky, how about you?
Okay, so we could do an entire book of life, characters that should have lived just on the show Grey's Anatomy. We could do 4 rounds just on this one show.
That would make a great episode, and I get to weigh in too.
Yes.
Having never seen
that would be like me weighing in on the Marvel movies.
Yeah. So, but also,
if you look at the list of how many people have died on that show, it's really frightening.
I would say it is absolute garbage that DeLuca died. And I know people, I think
it's controversial because I do not agree with you here.
That he shouldn't have died.
I don't care about DeLuca. That you're saying who he should get switched out for. I don't agree.
The reason
Lily,
I think he should
Becky, hold on, Lily. Let Becky say her thing and then react to it. No one else can see the notes. That's how the show unfolds.
The reason I think he should have been switched out for Karasik is because they wrote Karasik off the show anyway. And they wrote him off the show in a way that felt, not that it was underwhelming, but it was basically Karasik gets this horrible case of COVID. He almost dies. It's very upsetting. He doesn't die. And then he decides he's going to devote his life to fighting racism in the healthcare system along Jackson, who's also leaving. And that's a very noble cause. But for his character, it felt very like, oh, I had a near-death experience and now I'm going to become this really great person. So it felt a little bit, I don't know, empty or too good, like not earned for the character that he is. So I was like, I might have just killed him off and then there would have been a more meaningful, death than poor DeLuca, this poor guy we've invested so much in his well-being and success, and then he just gets stabbed. I mean, it's really classic Grey's. So that's my switcheroo. Shai?
Okay.
Look at me hosting, Shai. You give your
all right.
answer.
So for my biggest one,
good.
My biggest one is Money Heist. Okay, Money Heist, which is now in its last half of the season, which was started released, which I just okay. Money Heist, the best this show could come up with for its final act was to kill the character who was the most sympathetic and most beloved. And they killed a character, her name was Nairobi. And once she died, I look at the rest of the heroes, and I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. These guys are a bunch of terrorists who
I like the
rob
way you
a
say her
bank.
name was Nairobi as if she was a real person.
Yeah, there are a bunch
Her
of
name
once
was
once
Nairobi.
she's out of the show, right? Because her character is a thief who's trying to pay for
Better
her
her
poor,
for her
better for
son,
her life
yeah, to get her
for her
son
child,
back, or
for
to make up for her child,
for her
losing
child.
her
The
child.
rest of them are essentially criminals who want to be criminals and who justify it through like all of these man of the people kind of ways, but really their appeal to the people is more so a tool so they can, right, the public opinion is a tool that the professor uses to commit his crimes, la opinion publico, or whatever he always talks about. So once she's left, and then the preview has the season left for, stopped, and then it's many months later we pick it up. So I'm picking up the show with Nairobi dead. Now I'm rooting for the cops. I'm the pregnant cop whose career was ruined, who's now she, like, it opens with her with her gun pointed on the professor. I'm thinking, like, go get that guy. And she's the one who essentially tried to kill Nairobi, but now I hope they catch all of the criminals. They got Nairobi killed as far as
you're not just like, this was one character better than the other. Although you haven't said who you'd switch her out for, but which I assume is Tokyo, because I guess she's the worst.
No, I'd switch her out for Raquel, because Raquel's character really makes no sense. Lisbon, the character who is a police officer who, for no apparent reason, joins this gang, who everyone in the gang hates, who they've thrust into this main role and central role in the gang, who's chanting for Nairobi, right? Like, so much of the season is built around bringing her from the outside into this gang. Oh my God, to break her into the place where they're all stuck. No way. I would trade her for Raquel.
So your thing is fundamentally about how the death of this character ruined the story.
It ruined the story. It ruined the show, because that character, once that character is taken out of the mix of the show, it was like the emperor has no clothes. I already didn't love the other side characters. I already didn't love the morality of the other characters. But once they take her out of the show, I'm now rooting for the police. Because now I don't have real sympathy for the rest of the characters. Even Denver and Monica, who were so awesome in the previous season, again, criminal. And even though, again, criminal and woman who calls herself, is it Stockholm? Because she literally has Stockholm syndrome. Now their relationship is falling apart. There's nothing to root for now in this last act, or I guess they'll contrive some reasons to root for them in the last act, but I don't care. So I've never dropped off a show so hard as I did after Nairobi's death. So for me, if they had killed Raquel, which they had built a lot of tension around her potentially dying, then you would have had much more sympathy for Raquel. You would have much more sympathy for the professor, because he would have had a loss. He would have lost his brother in the previous season, and now he would have lost the love of his life. And then Nairobi would continue to be the heart and soul that you rooted for, and she could have stepped into an even bigger leadership role. Now the character everybody likes is gone, and everybody else makes no sense.
I don't know why they don't just have you in these writer rooms.
I mean, I don't think I have any way qualified. I'm just saying.
You're not qualified. You're not less qualified than the people writing these scripts.
And I actually, when I couldn't remember how she was killed, but she was killed in such a definitive way, they can't even do a fake out. So she's done. All right, now we're up to round 2. Becky, you're going to kick off round 2. Round 2, who should have been in the fictitious book of life, and what are your thoughts on it?
So I go back to this show, Debris, that I know I'm the only one that's seen, and there's only one season, and don't bother watching it because there's only one season.
I saw the first few episodes.
But this is a switcheroo, because the show starts off where this incredibly important person that the mystery hinges on is dead. And so you're going, well, if the most important person who has all of the information is dead, then how are we going to get this information? Like, it's in his brain. It doesn't exist anywhere else. He's dead. And, everyone's kind of scrambling around to put pieces together without him. Switch on a switch. He comes back to life.
Wait, he comes back to life as in he literally is resuscitated, or he was never dead?
Reanimated, dug up from the grave and reanimated using alien spaceship parts. It makes more sense when you're watching the show.
I mean, that is part of the universe of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was going to say, George shouldn't have died. He should have been brought back to life. Like, he should be the one that's saved because the show would work a lot better. Well, you know what? They did it. So you get to switch George out for George. I think his name is George. I might be wrong, by the way. I should probably Google that. But it's the dad character. So the show did it for me. Yeah. Okay. And one of his eyes gets all weird.
I changed the order, so I get to go next this time. I'm going to go. I interpreted this, by the way, as
very controversial.
All time. I didn't go for just this season. I like the topic because I think you can revisit this many times. And I'm going to go big, and I think this is something people can really relate to. Harry Potter, spoiler alert, book 5, Sirius Black.
I've never seen it, never read it. Oh no.
You won't remember. It's fine.
Sirius Black dying just sucked the fun out of
Harry Potter. The one that helps him in The Prisoner of Azkaban?
He is the prisoner.
He's the prisoner of Azkaban.
Who turns out to be
cool Godfather, right?
Harry Potter's one potential family member, and he's a real potential
Gary
mentor.
Oldman?
Yeah, and
not read any of this.
and a much more hands-on and interesting mentor than Dumbledore, who's just constantly lying to Harry. And in the book, it doesn't even. It's not even the book. The scene in which he dies to this day, the way it's written in the book, never makes any sense. It's actually done very well in the movie, and it's really sad. But I think the movie version of this book is a better execution because they give you enough time with him that his death is earned a lot more. But it always just drove me nuts because I was so bummed that Harry leaves this story with literally not a single adult figure other than the Weasleys that were close to his parents, right? The Weasleys take care of him, but he doesn't have a single one. Lupin dies too, right? So, but Sirius Black, I really wanted to further explore that relationship. I never understood why Harry couldn't just live with him and have them go on adventures. And now I'm going to get really controversial because I'm going to say, you know who they could have offed? And it would have made a lot more sense as Neville Longbottom, because Neville Longbottom's
who the hell is that?
Exactly, Lily.
People are always talking about Neville Longbottom's the real hero of Harry Potter. In 6 books, that kid can't move a frog from one place to another, and then at the end, he's suddenly the hero of the revolution. To me, they could have picked any other character and had that made sense. Neville.
Yeah, but here's a question. Is me not knowing anything about Harry Potter or giving a shit about it like somebody not knowing about Star Wars? Am I that person?
Yes. Yes.
I'm just saying, picking Neville.
100%.
I just
Wait,
saying.
Shai, do you agree? Am I that like annoying person who's like, I don't know about Star Wars?
No, I think it's more like if you don't know about Lord of the Rings. I think it's more it's somewhere between Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, because Star Wars is more ubiquitous, but for this younger generation, Harry Potter is really the thing that tickles their imagination. But to me, I just think Neville Longbottom,
interesting way to put it,
is painted as such a loser by J.K. Rowling that his sudden rise as hero of the revolution, I would have rather seen Luna Lovegood or what's her name.
I think J.K. Rowling should be the one who should not be named on this podcast.
Well, fair enough. Cho Chang. I just think there are other characters that could have done it than just this goofy kid who is, and I think when people talk about, I love Neville so much, I just think that's like when people say George Harrison was the best Beatle. I mean, he was a Beatle, so he's obviously amazing.
That? Wait,
people say that all the time. People say that all the time.
Which people? Those people obviously don't want Harry Potter.
Didn't he write Here Comes the Sun?
That's not a good correlation. He did write Here Comes the Sun, but he's not the best Beatle.
I know, but that's the best song.
Didn't he also write something?
He wrote something.
Yeah, so he wrote the 2 best songs. So I'm not saying the best Beatle, but my 2 favorite songs. My 2 favorites.
He's great. He's iconic. He's part of the whole thing.
He's not the best Beatle, though.
Who is the best?
He's definitely the hottest Beatle, though.
The two,
look to him. So
if you're
gorgeous.
talking about those kids, the only two competent wizards in that entire group of young kids are Harry and Hermione. The rest of them,
What
I
about
don't
the
even.
redhead, Ron?
He's really
The one time he's good at anything, he's juicing himself in that soccer Quidditch thing. So I'm just saying, like,
I do feel like this has turned into a Harry Potter podcast, though.
Okay, and by the way, I am not an expert on Harry Potter, so I want the people that are listening, who are super angry, to send all of your messages, and I promise I will read and react to them in the future. I promise, because I am just using my podium to just say nonsense here. Lily, go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna go quick.
What show are these people from?
Lovecraft Country.
Oh,
I am really annoyed and sad that Tick gets Atticus, right? The main character.
You're right.
Dies at the end, and this is where I
didn't think of Lovecraft.
On the rules. Such a good one. On the rules of Shai of, well, I did love this character. He was great. Fundamentally, by killing him, I think they shot themselves in the foot.
But there's no season 2.
Season. There's no season 2, but season 2 is written. The creator wrote it. She imagined a season 2. Well, she killed her most important character, the character that drives the story. And while I do think, obviously, maybe it was a budget issue, maybe that's not the reason it didn't get renewed. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, no shit, it didn't get renewed, because he's the root of the story. And while Letty is a wonderful, amazing character, I don't think that this is a pass the baton type thing where the next season would have been.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I think the show really was about Letty, and we were led to believe otherwise. But
I think she's great, but I don't.
No, but by the end, where she's pregnant, I think she's,
I think he could have lived, and then even if there wasn't going to be a second season, I think he could have lived. I think that would have been a nice way to end the story. I don't, besides some like Jesus-y type, connotation of him dying like spread out on a cross at the end, I was just like not having it. And I would have traded him for that like horrendous witch, Christina. So that's mine.
Well, fair enough. And you do go by your rules where you just would like that's someone you like.
It's the emotional reaction.
Now I get to start this round. So I'm just going to go like childhood memories. Alon, our dear friend who's come on the podcast, had a poster. He went to the premiere of this movie and he had a poster of it.
This is a great movie.
In his room. I'm just going to quickly say Turner and Hooch. I would have kept Hooch in the Book of Life. I love Tom Hanks, but you can't shoot the dog the way they shot that dog in that movie, where it jumps in front of the person. It's a kids movie. It jumps in front of the guy.
Yeah, but it's from the 80s.
They just blow a hole. The
rules were very different.
They blow a hole in Hooch. And all of the dog babies in the world cannot make you feel better at the end of that movie. So I love Tom Hanks, but you can't shoot the dog at the end of the kids' movie, which is why I love K9 with John Belushi forevermore more than Turner and Hooch. That's all I have to say there.
I think you could trade out any dog that gets killed in a movie for a person, because no dog should die in movies. Mine is really easy. Anyone who's ever died in any Marvel movie for Chris Evans.
Agreed.
He didn't 100%. Really officially die. He just got old.
But he dies. And he can never be in the stories again. So not that I was invested in this in the first place, but I'm definitely not invested in any of the new movies, because there's no chance he's going to be in them. So mine's pretty quick. Chris Evans in the Book of Life forever.
Agreed. Cap. He's my Cap.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't technically from this year, but I actually couldn't think of anything else, which is funny that I didn't think of White Lotus. But gonna go back to another podcast fave, The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
Mousesack, because I feel like there was so much more story potential with him. He could have been. He could have been to Ciri what's his name is to Khaleesi, the loyal
Jorah.
Yeah, what Jorah is, right? He could have been that. I just feel like there was so much more story to be had with him for his position, like where he's positioned and everything. So I actually think story-wise would have been better to keep him. And honestly, I probably would have switched him out for Queen Calanthe, but she died anyway, so it kind of worked out. I mean, I think it was fine. She seems like a slightly terrible person, and again, story-wise works better if she's not around. So, I mean, I got half of my equation.
I still admit to not fully understanding the rule of surprise, but I keep wanting to use it.
Rule of surprise. We should start using it.
I know. Rule of surprise.
I use it all the time.
But
I know I use it, but I don't know how it works.
I mean, I'm not going to waste time explaining it to you now, but I'll explain it.
No.
Rule of surprise. You passed me Asher. Now I get to eat your sandwich.
Owe a debt to someone. When you owe a debt to someone, they can say, I want to be paid by the rule of surprise. So that means the next thing in your life that you find out about, and that could be that you come home and your crop yielded an extra satchel of apples or whatever, or
I buy your kid a lot of He-Man figures.
So rule of surprise,
you have to take them.
So Shai, if
they're a surprise.
If you owe me something and I call rule of surprise, the next Amazon package that shows up at your door, I get to keep.
That would be a rule of surprise. Like protein shakes,
and cables,
and cables. And XLR cables. All right, Lily, you're gonna start round 4. Go for it.
So this one is very personal, and but it's very specific. It's a bit niche. I only bring it up because I'm not even kidding, guys. If I have more than people have thought about Jack not making it on that door, like he could have totally fit on the door, he didn't have to die. I literally think to myself all the time that Ryan Gosling's character, and this is a huge spoiler, doesn't have to die in Driver. And in my mind, I'm often like, but like he could survive because it's kind of left unknown.
Isn't that
he dies.
The driver?
He dies, but
yeah, he dies. The driver from Drive. The driver from Drive dies.
His name is just Driver, right? He doesn't have a name.
Yeah, he's just the driver.
Oh.
The driver. He dies.
Okay.
Such a great movie. It doesn't matter to watch the movie. It just won't make a difference. It's still so good. But I literally, in my mind, think about the fact that, like, him and Carey Mulligan together. I'm like, it hurts me. And he should 100% be traded for fucking Oscar Isaac, who is the worst in that movie.
No.
Not the actor, the character who gets out of prison and immediately puts Ryan Gosling in danger. Not the actor. I would never harm Oscar himself.
Please don't
speak. But his character is
Oscar.
Is real shit in that movie.
I love that movie. I'm pulling a mom here, and all I remember is his cool jacket.
Because his cool jacket is the best part of the movie. He's such a cool
sidebar, Lil, how much do you want Oscar Isaac to smell your armpit?
No.
Sidebar.
That's the viral moment we're in right now, where he smelled and then kissed Jessica Chastain's armpit.
If there's one moment we are in, like we are so deep in this pandemic that the thing that is getting everyone incredibly excited is that Oscar Isaac smelled Chastain's armpit. And I am so confident in my body odor.
Kissed her side. Yeah.
Even without deodorant, because I generally smell pretty damn good. That is something I could even be comfortable with. Like if Oscar Isaac, like I'm not saying there's other things I'd be comfortable with him around, but
you'd be pretty confident about that move.
I definitely don't want him to smell.
Oh, you don't want him to. I thought you were saying, he could go for it.
Like smell a fart. I would say. I'm just imagining.
Wait, you don't have confidence in your fart smell?
No, I don't want him to smell like that, or going to the bathroom after me if I'm coming out.
You mean now? When you say going to the bathroom, do you mean the powder room right next?
I gotta tell you.
Do you mean
nobody used
the
powder room in Jai's house because someone's always pooping in there.
Because you destroyed the one next to where everybody eats.
Us?
That
Lily, your children, everyone.
My husband,
everyone.
Our
parents,
mom, everybody uses that bathroom.
Everyone. There are 3 other bathrooms in the house.
Sometimes I leave my house and go to your house to use it just to mess with you.
It's a really good bathroom. The point is that I feel confident he could smell my armpit. That's all I'm saying. But that is the viral moment. This is a pop culture podcast, Shai. We have to stay current.
So Promising Young Woman, the main character, Carey Mulligan's character, Cassandra.
Totally agree.
That
was going to be on my list.
I really, really would have liked her to have lived, and I don't care who's in her place. I mean, any one of the terrible people except for Laverne Cox could have taken her place. And that's just, and we talked a lot about that film, what it means to the story for her to have died, what it would have meant if she didn't, yada, yada, yada. I want her back. Stick anyone in that place instead.
That movie and One Night in Miami, I think about those movies pretty much every day from this year. And I think that says a lot for a year of movies when there's two movies. I think the last movie in recent years that has had that type of effect on me is Jojo Rabbit, where I think about it daily.
Absolutely. I put Promising Young Woman up there with Jojo Rabbit.
Those three movies are movies I think about daily of recent classics that are going to make it through, where I say to people, you have to see this movie. And so, for me, I'm just going to close out, and I'm going to go after a classic, a movie we consider one of the greats. Point Break has one flaw. And that is in the final act when Keanu Reeves lets Angelo Pappas, played by Gary Busey, get shot in the back. A fellow officer gets shot in the back. I forget when. I guess it's to save Laurie Petty's character. But a good guy Busey, bad guy Busey is there to get shot. But when a good guy Busey dies, I'm always sad. So that one's always bummed me out. I think it's the one flaw in Point Break. I would have liked to see a Point Break 2 where Pappas has to learn how to surf. And they go chasing after Bodie because he didn't really die in the Great Wave or whatever that thing is called. All right. Let's kick it to shout-outs and Rex.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go. Hit it.
I'm going to go first because I got to grab my baby. Sorry. I'm going to go quick. 9 Perfect Strangers. Now I'm at the point where I don't need it to be one of you, but I need someone else to watch it because I'd like to talk about it with someone. The story is going in a place at this exact moment that I guess is a bit predictable, and I'm not sure. I guess I need to see it through to the end. But the acting is, the cast is so Luke Evans, Melissa McCarthy, Bobby Cannavale.
I have to say, I fully support
Nicole Kidman.
Fully support a comeback for Brunson Pinchot. So I'm glad that this is happening.
Is he in it? Oh,
he's not in it.
Why? I thought it was the sequel to Perfect Strangers.
You're in.
Oh my gosh, Shai.
It is not.
They should have cast him though, based on that.
Manny Jacinto? Is that how you pronounce his name? From Good Place, plays someone pretty serious in it. Who played what's his name on The Good Place? I don't remember his name.
I don't remember.
The one from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. But the cast is amazing. Michael Shannon, Asher Keddy, if you watch any of the Australian shows.
You're just going to tell us the whole cast?
I'm just saying the cast is incredible. The acting.
If there's
is
more than 9 people, I'll be annoyed.
I find it really interesting. I'm curious if other people like it. And then I just want to say that, this last episode, everybody's watching Ted Lasso. You don't have to recommend it, but huge shout out, obviously, to Sophia, Becky's dear friend, who was
Sophia Barkley.
Sophia Barkley, who just crushed it as VR Doc. She was amazing.
Very
and she
excited
had a scene,
to see her.
So exciting, and she did a wonderful job. It really looks like acting is easy, but I can't imagine how difficult just being in a scene with Jason Sudeikis.
It's so funny watching her act, and it'd be like, it just seems like she is that doctor.
Yeah, she's great. So
it's great. It's great.
I recommend everybody to go back and watch this last episode of Ted Lasso, which was a great episode, and pay attention to that scene.
That was a great episode, though. That was probably the best episode of the season. That was the most significant episode of the season.
If you're not sure exactly who she is, I certainly hope you save the stories on the Pancake or Friday Night Movie account of me posing with her on screen because
I'm pretty sure
do that because I was very excited.
And I believe in that episode is called Man City. So check that episode out. It's really good. So go ahead.
I don't know. Lily's okay. I think Lily's done. So I started the show The Chair on Netflix with Sandra Oh. I'm loving it so far. I'm just on episode 4 and I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I hope it keeps up and stays this great. I can't wait to finish it. And I'm just hoping the energy for me stays this high and then I can give my mom and I told you show for it because so far I absolutely adore it. It's created and written by Amanda Peet and it's so awesome so far. I really do recommend it. We'll see. Only 3 episodes in. Then I watched the most recent season of Grace and Frankie, but it was only 4 episodes and then it just stopped. Are there more episodes coming? Can someone let me know what's happening? It just seemed weird. I can't tell if it was a half season or if there's another season. So it was cute. I mean, I'm at this point, I have to tell you, I'm watching it for June Diane Raphael. Like I like the whole show and I'm in it, but she's what keeps me coming back. She's my favorite part of the show.
There are going to be, it looks like, 16 episodes. They're going to get to over 100 episodes of this show, it looks like.
That's impossible of Grace and Frankie. I think you must be looking at a different show because each season only has like 8 episodes. That doesn't make any sense. It says 94 episodes. It's going to be close to... That doesn't make any sense.
It has 7 seasons, and each season has in the teens. Like 10 or 12, that actually makes sense. Yeah, it's going to have 90-something episodes.
June Diane Raphael is my favorite part of that show, honestly.
Give her a spinoff.
Yeah, she's great. All right, that's all. That's really what I've been watching this week.
All right, me. Dad turned me on to Jack Irish on Acorn, one of his Australian shows starring Guy Pearce. Very, very cool. I watched the first. There's 3 movies, cool. And then it's a few seasons. Good murder mystery, private eye kind of show about a lawyer who's has some personal tragedy down in his luck and now is solving mysteries, for the sake of finding justice for people who would otherwise not be able to figure out who killed these people. So very cool. Loving Only Murders in the Building. Been watching that.
Right,
that one
right.
is
I forgot I've been watching that too.
Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez.
I recommended it. Well, it was my recommendation.
No, she is still there.
The production value is amazing. The writing is hilarious.
Martin Short is hilarious.
The music,
so
it's artsy, but it's not overdone. Martin Short and Steve Martin can overdo it together because they're so classic and funny together, but they don't overdo it. It's really great. Loving Heels still. Watch Heels on Stars. Get the free trial to watch it. Do whatever you can. And then I'm going to subscribe or get a trial to CBC Gem, which is CBC's streaming service that you can get in the States.
That's a reach.
To watch Moonshine, which stars Jen Finnegan, who I am a huge fan of. She was in Andover, and we went to Dawson College together. And this show looks delightful. It's already been renewed for a 2nd season. I want to get on the ground floor. So I'm really excited for it. It premieres on September 14th. So I will report back / make you watch it. And with that, let's do the handles and things like that. Beck, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
And where can people follow Lily? Because she's doing baby things.
At Chichi, CHICHIK Gomez on Twitter.
And we're gonna do a quick out today. You can follow me at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram. All the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Friday Night Movie. The theme music's gonna kick in, and we are going to dance our way into this lovely evening. Check the notes for all the things we support and for the theme music stuff. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, Friday Night Movie fans. Our buy of the week this week was the movie Denial, starring Rachel Weisz and Tom Wilkerson. This is a film about real-life courtroom drama where Professor Deborah Lipstadt defended herself against a Holocaust denier in court named David Irving. This is a phenomenal film we watched and discussed over Yom Kippur and had an amazing discussion about truth and freedom of speech and anti-Semitism. We highly recommend this fantastic film. So it is going to be our buy of the week. Check it out.